Hey guys, I'm going to continue on talking about the crosspaths now. Jumping into here. It'll probably be too long a video to finish all the rest of them in one, so I'm just going to finish the military monkeys and support, and I'll probably do the magic in a third video. So yeah, starting off from the Buccaneer, which we missed last time, because I had to cut off because it was starting to rain really hard. So first, a destroyer, which is awesome. So we have to look at a couple things here, because the destroyer and then the aircraft carrier, this is a special case where the tower changes drastically yet again. So basically the destroyer upgrade, this isn't much of a change, but basically it just gets massive fire rate. It gets an awesome fire rate, which is just great. And with this, you want to go grape shot, because not only does it buff the main attack for the Buccaneer, it buffs the grape shot too. So you get super fast firing grape shot. It's hard to not get grape shot when you get that much power out of it. But when you get to the aircraft carrier, so you keep your grape shot, but you don't keep the speed boost at this point. So if you're gonna keep your destroyer, then you want grape shot. And this is a very accurate tower. You'll output a lot of grapes, you'll output a lot of main darts. You can deal with everything with this. Like your main dart can pop purples, and this hot shot can pop leads. The only thing it can't really do is DDTs, I think. You can kind of damage them, but not really, because your main darts won't, only your grapes. But then, when you get to your aircraft carrier, you'll still fire grapes, but not fast. So it's kind of not worth having them anymore at that point. Because, I mean, they're still good, but, like, when you've got a, $9,000 upgrade, adding this extra one for, 500 is just minimal. So at this point... Okay, so long range doesn't add anything. That's the key. Crow's Nest is the only thing that benefits the aircraft carrier. Oh, sorry. It keeps the main dart. So long range benefits the main dart, but that's who cares? Who cares? So you want Crow's Nest unless you're under a village or something. If you have camera detection from another source, then there's no point getting the Crow's Nest, so you may as well keep the grapes. Either way, aircraft carrier doesn't cross path well. Carrier flagship, I often go 502 for this, simply because I can avoid getting a village in that case, because this pops leads naturally. So if you cross path it, then it can deal with DDTs without a village, without anything. Your cannon ship, I always go bottom path with my cannon ship, because then it can deal with camelets and stuff, which is just nice. And it has so many attacks from this path. It keeps the grape shot, and then it attaches a cannon on top of that, and it also keeps your main attack. So you get a lot of attacks there. And adding Crow's Nest is adding longer range first off is because it gets range on this path, and then it's just more range, and then you get Crow's Nest, and it's I can do everything. And this is kind of this tower can't take out heavy targets, but by gosh, if there's a group of balloons, it's gonna do some serious damage to that group of dense balloons. You can get the faster shooting. It'll benefit the cannon as well, but the double shot only benefits the main dart. So your fast shooting, this will benefit the grape shot and the cannon, actually, I'm pretty sure. And if you go all the way to Pirate Lord actually doubles your attack speed. Doesn't say this, but if you have fast shooting there, then you double it again, and you get really fast attack speed. So if you plan on going all the way to Pirate Lord, then I would go top path. Otherwise, I would go bottom path, just because it's nice to have this guy at the back, or somewhere out of way, somewhere that's not near your regular towers. So I generally don't have it under my village. So yeah. The Merchantman, I always go grape shot on these, because this path doesn't add any extra attacks, and the grape shot's just the most cost-effective way to add attacks. You can just give it no cross-pathing, and it doesn't matter. You can just spam your Merchantman and be fine. But if you're gonna spam Merchantman, you can just grab grape shot on them and add a little bit of extra firepower. And when you got a lot of them, that little bit adds up. Monkey Ace, they're all kind of, this one just depends on what else you got. Your fighter plane, this one, it shoots a missile that hits Moabs. This is actually a seeking missile, so This missile itself doesn't benefit from your sharper darts or centered path because the path doesn't matter, or not too much. Okay, kind of positioning matters because your ace will always target closest. Generally, it'll just hit the target closer. So positioning is somewhat important, but I feel like I just wouldn't really cross path this because it's just a nice, really cheap option you can kind of jump up to. If you're doing some sort of challenge or whatever, then in that case, you've got less other things, so you might need camera detection or bombs, whatever, for leads or something. But that really comes down to challenges, in which case everything changes. For the most part, I wouldn't really worry about cross-pathing this too much. If you go all the way to Operation Dartstorm, though, then you're getting darts all over the whole map. It's great to get the sharper darts, definitely. And even the centered path at that point can come in handy. Because if you place yourself around the edge of a map of your Operation Dartstorm, then the centered path will increase your power a lot because you'll be around the balloons more. And if you go on a Sky Shredder, you kind of just want to have this placed in the middle of the map on Infinite or something like that, so you can be really close to the balloons. But if you can't place it in the middle of the map, then centered path is great there too. If you need camera detection for your challenge or whatever, then get that, but most of the time I would want to get camera detection somewhere else and then get the sharper darts for that. And your bomber ace, so this is all just about the ability. No, let's be real here. You can't rely on the bomber ace. It's very random, even though it's less random than the pineapples. So for this one, I don't generally cross path them as well. I just kind of go a pure middle path. Even at the tier 4s, I only get it for the ability, I only get this for the ability, and everything else I kind of don't care about. Never miss. This one, you really want to go top path, because the rapid fire on your never miss is kind of good, but then the lots more darts, I mean, they're not missing as much, so this adds up a lot more than it does normally, because, well, never miss misses, but it doesn't miss much. It's pretty good. And when you get in the Spectre, as I mentioned before in my previous video, you do get a benefit from your lots more darts. You get more pierce, and you get more from rapid fire. So you do want to go top path here for sure. If you're doing some sort of challenge, if your ace is not near camera detection for whatever reason, then you can get camera detection. You don't lose much power, but if you want to squeeze every penny, then you want to have camera detection somewhere else. So the Razor Rotors, this is kind of yeah, this is the thing again. If you can get camera detection elsewhere, then do it, because your faster firing is going to be good for the main attack. It doesn't benefit Razor Rotors itself, but just the basic pursuit heli getting faster firing is good. And the Apache Dart Ship getting faster firing is also very good. The Apache Dart Ship and Prime, though, they start to fall off late game, especially 81 plus when you run into super ceramics. These can't deal with children that well, which kind of makes them not so great. But at that point, when you go, if you're going beyond 80, you kind of need the bigger jets, just because you can't keep up with the balloons properly without the increased speed, and so they ruin your pursuit. If you're not using pursuit, then by all means go faster firing. But if you are using pursuit, which I assume most people who use helis are, then you want the bigger jets for 80 plus. Pre-80, you're probably fine going this, but if you're doing Impoppable or something, in which case you probably don't want to be using an Apache, there's many other good upgrades, then in that case you want the bigger jets. Downdraft, I generally always go Pursuit for downdraft because I just want them to be following and blowing those balloons back as much as possible, and I don't want to be doing it myself because I got other things to take care of. And Support Chinook and Special Operations, these kind of don't really rely on cross-pathing at all, so it's only a downdraft that benefits from Pursuit. The Special Operations Marine does benefit from faster firing, so if you go to tier 5, that one will be stronger. And I guess also, since the heli just drops him down onto the track below the heli, you don't really want to be using that on Pursuit. It doesn't matter, because if your heli's pursuing, it's gonna be where the action is, but sometimes if you're above a massive towers and you try to use this ability, it's not going to work because it's got nowhere to drop it. So that can be a bit tricky. So if you go in tier 5 middle path, then you could potentially go bottom path. But most of the time, I just want Pursuit. And again, Mob Shove, You want Pursuit here as well because you just want it to be following and pushing back those Moabs. The only problem here is if your Moab popping power is greater than your ceramic power, in which case when the Moabs crack open, the ceramic's going to rush forward and it's going to pull your heli away, which sucks because it'll stop shoving the Moabs and then they'll push further ahead. So if you're more early game focused, then Pursuit Moab Shove is great. But if you're looking at later on, then it can potentially be good to just manually control it. And if you're manually controlling it, then bigger jets is handy. But you also get more damage from quad darts. It's not much damage though, you're going to be damaging with other things. I would probably still stay on Pursuit. The only weird case in which this is different is when you get to 90 plus and there's DDTs. Sometimes it can be good to just have some Moab shoves, like 0, 2, 3 Moab shoves just locked in place on the track in various points to just catch DDTs. That's one I use a lot. And then your Comanche Defense and Comanche Commander, I would always keep these on Pursuit specifically because they want to be where the action is summoning in the Comanches. Although it doesn't matter because the Comanches default to Pursuit and you can't change that. So it's really only the main heli that matters. But the difference is your Comanches that come in to help you, they have good ceramic popping power, so they can kind of let you keep up with the Moabs better. Alright, so I'll just skip over to support now. The banana farm. Alright, this is really easy. If you're going top path banana farm, then you need valuable bananas to make them worth more. If you're going for the middle path banana farm, the bank, then you want top path to make your bananas worth more. If you're going the marketplace, then it kind of gets more tricky, I guess, because both of these paths make your bananas worth more. So it comes down to math, and it's always been 203 was definitely the greatest before. I think it's still the best, but there was a change which may have made this one slightly better. But I'm pretty sure it's still 203. If you're going higher, these two are kind of good, but this one has a bonus to Merchantmen, which is nice. So if you use Merchantmen, then that's worth getting at least one of. They only give an end of round cash bonus, so you have to wait to the end of the round to spend your income. I prefer spending it as I go, so I generally use the top path or I just stop at tier 3 for the bottom path. Spike Factory is another really simple one. So if you're going top path for your spike balls, spike mines, even faster production is going to make them like twice as powerful or more. Yeah, same thing, exact same thing pretty much with your middle path. If you're going down your Moab Shredder Spike Spawn, then the bigger stacks it's going to make you exactly twice as powerful. And if you're going the bottom path, getting your long life and deadly, which I actually do like, it's nice to have these around just to catch a few leaks, guaranteed leak catches, then you want to go basically middle path because this will give you more frequent production, which is in general better. You want frequency of production rather than pure damage, but you get roughly the same damage out of both of these. And also if you go all the way to perma spikes, then you get way more DPS out of the even faster production. The only time you want to go top path for this is if you need the lead popping, basically. If you don't need lead popping, then middle path always is the best cross path. Now quickly looking back at these top two, the directed spikes are good in some cases, and that's pretty much just like muddy puddles or chutes. If you use directed spikes and use smart targeting, then the spikes will always land on the path where the balloons are spawning, which doubles your DPS. So that's just as good as these two in that case, because they're both roughly double your DPS. And you're also reducing some randomness there, because if they're always landing on the correct path, then there's no chance that the pinks are just going to slip through before you've put one in the right spot. And this is also useful, for example, on In the Loop. You can just put one down the middle, put a spike factory down the middle, send some balloons, and it will kind of follow the balloons. This one might need an example, actually. I may as well. So if I'm placing this like in the middle here, get my directed spikes. So if I set these to smart, then they're all going to drop to the kind of front area here, which is nice. So it's putting them furthest ahead, but then if balloons get past it, it's going to start throwing them one place back, which is nice. But then none of them go to the front anymore, and now it's going even further back. So basically it tries to keep up with your balloons, but always throws them the furthest, like the closest to the entrance it can. But then once there's no balloons, it'll start going close to the entrance again. So this spot here is kind of a good spot for this, and there's other kind of spots you can get directed spikes to work well, but it's very edge casey, very niche. You really got to kind of work out what you're doing there. And I won't go too much into that in this video. The last one, the Monkey Village, is it's whatever you want really. They all give good upgrades, and it depends what towers you want to buff. This primary training upgrade, this gives you more range, more pierce, more projectile speed. It's mainly the pierce we're looking at here. That's pretty nice, and also the range. It's only to primary monkeys, so if you're doing a primary monkey heavy setup, then it's really good to get this. It makes a big difference. The primary mentoring's not so amazing unless you're really spamming them, which is actually kind of fun for some challenges. I've tried a few of those myself, and I quite enjoyed that. But the tier 5 is really nice. So here, it's just, the only thing that matters for Crosspath is how much money you're making. If you really need to save on money, or if you feel like spamming lots of towers in one area, then Monkey Commerce is great. You need the Monkey Commerce. But Grow Blocker is pretty nice. It's really cheap to get, and it just kind of cancels regrow balloons. Regrows aren't too much of a threat, but it helps when you just have like a few towers early on. You want to save up as much money as you can. And Radar Scanner is obviously fantastic because it lets all your towers hit camo. You generally want like a 3-2 here, unless you're spamming towers or you really need to save on money, in which case this discount is quite nice. But remember, the discount only applies to tier 3s and below. The Monkey Intelligence Bureau, you want the jungle drums and the bigger radius. I mean, bigger radius, you affect more towers, you can fit more under it, jungle drums, speed boost. If you already have a jungle drums nearby, then you can just go commerce instead. But yeah, you don't really want to have more than one village in many situations, unless you're going like a late game or a specific challenge or something like that. The Monkey Town, so it's better to get bigger range, because if you get the bigger radius, then you don't need as many villages to cover an area. So you could potentially get like 2 of these with bigger radius, and you've got a massive area of track covered. You're gonna get your bonus cash from all of those balloons easily. And that's really all there is to it. The village is too situational for me to really say much, even though I tried to. It's really just up to what you have, what you're doing, what the challenge is. If you're doing a challenge, what map you're on. It matters so much. So anyway, that is all of the towers except for magic. And I will cover magic in another video once I get around to it, hopefully by the end of this week. And then I guess after that I may as well do heroes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you around.